sommes là ici pour le départ des bases françaises. Parce qu'il n'est pas sans savoir que les bases françaises qui sont ici, ce sont eux-mêmes les terroristes qui nous tuent aujourd'hui.
And now let's take a look at some stories making the headlines across the continent. The French Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, is in Algeria in a bid to improve bilateral relations between Paris and Algiers. The visit was widely awaited following the Algerian Interior Minister's invitation to his French counterpart months ago. On the agenda, the thwarting issue of French expulsion orders and the imprisonment of French journalist Christophe Glaise. The last visit by a French Interior Minister was in 2022 when Gérald Darmanin traveled there.
We see that today. That's why France is so angry. Because Burkina Faso said, get out of my country. Yeah. Mali said, get out. Stop stealing our resources. Now everybody looks at those three countries, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, as the enemy. They're so evil. Look what they did to France. Because the Bible says a nation which you know not.
Today, the Europeans are in Burkina Faso, are in Sahel. What are their interests? What are they coming for? Because every time these people try to come to these countries in Africa, something happens. Every time they come to try to find another way on how to get another opportunity to access to African countries. Whenever it fails, something must happen. And this has happened. It can confirm to you what has happened just a few days ago, just a few weeks ago, when the last assassination attempt towards Ibrahim Traore. What happened? There were some Americans in Burkina Faso who tried to come to make to have a dialogue about the relationship, the diplomatic relationship. And because these leaders from Sahel declined this, days after we saw a night coup attempt in Burkina Faso, a night assassination attempt in Burkina Faso, and the people who were behind this were captured, and they were able to expose everything. Who was behind the plan, who was behind this, and everything that was there, and what was their agenda for them to do this. And now today we are able today again to see the Europeans official governments visiting Burkina Faso to have a dialogue with the Burkina Faso's government, Ibrahim Traore and his government. We know for the longest time, we know the Europeans, who they are. They have to make sure that they can do every possible way, every possible means to make sure that they get whatever they want. They cannot just quit just like that. They have to find every means to make sure that they achieve their agendas. That's why we are able today to see them coming back to Africa and try to sweet talk our leaders. Because these military leaders, what I know is that they cannot be corrupted. They cannot be bought. Because that is what our former colonizers know. That's the only language they know to discuss or to speak with our leaders. They know one thing, that our leaders are greedy, they are corrupt. So whenever they come to discuss in this dialogues, the one thing they know is that whenever they give our leaders something small, they must fall into this trap, into their traps. But now today we are so proud to have this kind of leaders that today they are coming to deal with. Because you cannot tell me today that Ibrahim Traore can just be bought or bribed or be corrupted just like that, so that he can allow these those European leaders to come back to Africa, because he came to this position because of them, because of their influence and dominance to the Burkina Faso or to Sahel. That's the reasons to why. That's the reason that brought these military leaders to the power, because the leaders who were there before them, they were so sellout. They were so sellout, who never cared about the people, who never cared about their countries, who never cared about the interests of their people, but they are only there to sell out and their riches, their resources, their countries, just for them to benefit. They never care about other people's, how they are surviving, how they are living, how the problems they are facing. They never care about this. So when we see this kind of people coming back to Africa, it gives me some doubts. Just like what has happened in the country of Ghana. I do really believe in the president of Ghana, Mr. John Mahama. He's a Pan-Africanist. First of all, he has been always coming out to condemn all these puppet leaders, all these corrupt leaders in Africa. He has always been coming out to fight about the imperialist, the foreign influence. So when I see French troops in Ghana trying to come to train in Ghana, I was so surprised to see this, because even accepting even one military French troop in African countries, this shows a great problem. There must be agenda, a hidden agenda. So no matter what they are coming to do, we don't care what they are coming to do. But what we care is their influence here, their presence here. Because their presence is what will make them to get that courage again to come and dominate, to start to do whatever they have been always doing in Africa. So we need to limit, to put some barriers, make sure that no any foreigner troop will be seen in Africa. Because their influence here is what is making or putting Africa in these critical conditions. They must come. That's the meaning of neocolonization. Neocolonialism is about their soft way of dealing with the Africans. They have to come and issue some offers to African leaders so that they can fall to that traps. And by doing this, we are going to go back to where we came from. We are going to go back to where we were for the longest time. So I don't think this is the time that we need to have all these dialogues with the foreign troops. They have their own agendas, the hidden agendas that we don't know. Because since foreigners, since these are former colonizers of Africa started to come to visit Africa, they never had any good interest with the Africans. They never had any good interest. What they were so interested in is what we are having in our soils. That is what's bringing back them here. Because if Africa would have not having all that we are having today in our African soils, I don't think even we could have all these quarrels that we're having with the foreigners. But because of what we are having, that is what is pushing them back to Africa each and every day, and they cannot leave Africa alone. They cannot leave Africa alone. That's all I know. They cannot get out of Africa just like that, because they know the impact of that. They know what they're going to face and the challenge that they're going to have when they leave Africa. So they cannot afford leaving Africa at any cost, at any chance. It is our responsibility as black people to make sure that we know how to deal with. And this will only happen if Africa can unite. Africa's unity will end this. But if Africa cannot unite, if African leaders cannot come to agree with one agreement, then we still have a problem. Because all I know is that France is very strong, and they will use any possible means. They will use their power to make sure that they get back to Africa. They come back to Africa at any cost. Whatever they will have to do, they will make sure that they do, just for them to come back to Africa, continue exploiting the cheaper resources from the continent. That's all I know, that it's going to happen. So if we don't make the best decision, if we don't stand up as the globe, as the continent, creating a unity, a union of bargaining power on how to deal with these foreigners, we will always come in here to speak about this, but no day something will happen. I don't know your views. That was just my views, because I saw their visit to Burkina Faso, and I was wow, what is about? What's this about? We have to know what's all this about. Because if we keep on sleeping, we'll wake up one day and find ourselves not existing, but only our resources existing, because that is what they're after. Let me have you in the comment section. You're doing great by tuning this channel. You're doing great by supporting, subscribing, sharing. For those ones sending me super thanks, I do really appreciate you. Are doing great by tuning the Black History, where we uncover the truth, the hidden truth. Be blessed and peace out.